What's good, YouTube? American RX at it again. Shout out to viewers. Thank you for viewing. Thank you for your support. Shout out to the West Indian Tribal Society. Shout out to Darwin XTV, the ICCC. And then I'll be building on who is Oliver Cromwell, right? And why is it important to know this part of history that they didn't talk about much, okay? So we're gonna do a little bit of digging on who is Oliver Cromwell, because as you know, you had the Cromwellian Wars that happened over into United Kingdom during the so-called time of the so-called transatlantic slave trade, and you're gonna see the cross-referencing and what I'm gonna reveal to you. Okay, Oliver Cromwell, born April 25th, 1599, Huntingdonshire, England, died September 3rd, 1650. Right? Parentheses. English soldier and statesman who led parliamentary forces in the English Civil Wars, Lord Protector of England, Scotland, and Ireland during the Republican Commonwealth. Of the generals on the parliamentary side in the English Civil War against King Charles I, Cromwell helped to bring about the overthrow of the Stuart monarchy. Okay, so the Stuart monarchy is the King James, okay, the Jacobites, alright? And the Stuarts, the House of Stuart, a lot of them got exiled over here in the Americas, okay, and a lot of Irish as well. So when you do the cross-reference, you'll find out that when you do the cross-referencing, you'll find out that how much correlation it has with the transatlantic slave trade, because the people who were coming over in boats were the exiles, okay? Really, the indentured people, the enslaved were the exiles, okay? So a lot of times, in many cases over on this side, if you doing your genealogy, and you may find names that goes back to England or Ireland, then chances are one of your ancestors were one of the exiles, okay? And as Lord Protector, he raised his country's status once more to that of a leading European power from the decline it had gone through since the death of Queen Elizabeth I. A man of outstanding gifts and forceful character, he was one of the most remarkable rulers in modern European history. Although a convinced Calvinist, he believed deeply in the value of religious toleration. At the same time, Cromwell's victories at home and abroad helped to enlarge and sustain a Puritan attitude of mind both in Great Britain and in North America. So as I said, these are all religious wars, as religion is really politics, okay? The order of the day is the religion, because the religion is the one that the laws set forth derived from religious texts, okay? That continue to influence political and social life until recent times. So a lot of your paper genocide goes back to Oliver Cromwell as well, okay? A lot of your images, right, like the original royal bloodlines from Europe, Oliver Cromwell was the one who really was a part of erasing the images, okay, with an early public career. Cromwell was born in Huntingdon in eastern England in 1599, only son of Robert Cromwell and Elizabeth Stuart. His father had been a member of one of Queen Elizabeth Parliaments, and as a landlord and justice of the peace, was active in local affairs. Robert Cromwell died when his son was 18. His widow lived to the age of 89. Oliver went to the local grammar school and then for a year attended Sydney Sussex College. Cambridge. After his father's death, he left Cambridge to look after his widowed mother and sisters, but is believed to have studied for a time in Lincoln's Inn in London, where country gentlemen were accustomed to acquire a smattering of law. In August 1620, he married Elizabeth, daughter of Sir James Bourchier, merchant in the city of London. By her, he was to have 5 sons and 4 daughters, right? Cromwell was descended indirectly on his father's side from Henry the Eighth, Chief Minister Thomas Cromwell, who had assisted Oliver's great-grandfather in acquiring significant amounts of former monastic land in Huntingdon and in the Fens. Oliver was the eldest surviving son of the younger son of a knight. He inherited a modest amount of property, but was brought up in the vicinity of his grandfather, who regularly entertained the king's hunting party. His education would have presented him with a strong evangelical Protestantism and a powerful sense of God's providential presence in human affairs. Right? So, I wanted to dig on really where he was, the wars that he was a part of, you know what I'm saying? Where he exiled a lot of the original royal bloodlines, okay? Let me see if I could catch up on somewhere. Okay. So, let me see. Let's see here. All right, we're gonna start here, okay? Military and political leader. During 1643, Cromwell acquired a reputation both as a military organizer and a fighting man. From the very beginning, he had insisted that the men who served on the parliamentarian side should be carefully chosen and properly trained, and he made it a point to find loyal and well-behaved men regardless of their religious beliefs or social status. Appointed a colonel in February, he began to recruit a first-class cavalry regiment. While he demanded good treatment and regular payment for his troopers, he exercised strict discipline. If they swore, they were fined. If drunk, put in the stocks. If they called each other roundheads, thus endorsing the contemptuous epithet in the royalists applied to them. The royalists applied to them because of their close-cropped hair. They were cashiered, and if they deserted, they were whipped. So successfully did he train his own cavalrymen that he was able to check and reform them after they charged in battle. That was one of Cromwell's outstanding gifts as a fighting commander. Throughout 1643, he served in the eastern counties, and he knew so well these formed and recognized center of parliamentary strength, but unwilling to stay on the defensive. Cromwell was determined to prevent the penetration of Yorkshire royalists into the eastern counties, and decided to counterattack by reforming his men in a moment of crisis in the face of an unbeaten enemy. He won the Battle of Gainsborough in Lincolnshire on July 28th. On the same day, he was appointed governor of the Isle of Ely, a large plateau-like hill rising above the surrounding fence that was thought of as a possible bastion against advancing royalists. In fact, however, Cromwell, fighting alongside the parliamentary general Sir Thomas Fairfax succeeded in stemming the royalist attacks at Winceby in Lincolnshire and then successfully besieged Newark in Nottinghamshire. He was now able to persuade the House of Commons, well pleased with these victories, to create a new army that would not merely defend eastern England, but would march out and attack the enemy. Okay, so the enemy was the royal, the virginal, heavily melanated royals, okay? Like the Stuarts, and the Irish, you know what I'm saying? The Scots. I'm saying the Welsh. You know what I'm saying? This new army was formed under the command of Edward Montague, 2nd Earl of Manchester. Early in 1644, appearing in the House of Commons, Cromwell, besides commending Manchester for the command, accused some of his fellow officers as incompetence or as being profane and loose in their conduct. Although not all members of the House of Commons approved Cromwell's using his political position to defame other officers, his friends rallied around him, and in 1644 he was appointed Manchester's second in command with the rank of Lieutenant General and paid £5 a day. After alliance had been concluded with the Scots, he was also appointed a member of the Committee of Both Kingdoms, which became responsible for our overall strategy of the Civil War. But since he was engaged at the front during campaigning season, Cromwell took little part in its deliberations. After Manchester's army had stormed Lincoln in May 1644, he marched north to join the Scots and the Yorkshire parliamentarians at the siege of York, where Charles' first commander-in-chief, Prince Rupert, raised the siege. He was, however, defeated in the Battle of Marston Moor. Okay? July 2nd, 1644. That in effect gave the north of England to Parliament. Cromwell had again distinguished himself in battle, and when Manchester's army returned to eastern England to rest on its laurels, Cromwell criticized his superior officer for his slowness and lethargy. He did not believe that Manchester really wanted to win the war, and in mid-September he laid his complaints before a committee of both kingdoms. The quarrel between the two commanders was patched up after the defeat at Newbury, caused largely by the Earl of Manchester's refusal to support Cromwell's cavalry with his infantry. It broke into the open once more. Cromwell now expounded his detailed complaint about Manchester's military conduct in the House of Commons. Manchester retorted by attacking Cromwell in the House of Lords. It was even planned to impeach Cromwell as an incendiary. Once again, however, these quarrels were patched up. In 1644, Cromwell proposed that in the future no members of either House of Parliament should be allowed to hold commands or offices in the armed forces. This proposal was accepted, and it was also agreed that a new army should be constituted under Thomas Fairfax. Cromwell and Admiral Fairfax put forward his name and then busied himself with planning the new army, from which a member of Parliament, he himself, was excluded. But significantly, the post of the second command was left open, and when the Civil War reached its climax in summer of 1645, Fairfax insisted that Cromwell should be appointed to it. He then fought at the battles of Naseby and Langport, where Charles I's last two field armies were destroyed. Remember, King Charles, these people are all melanated people, are dark, heavily melanated carbon people, okay? So these are the people that were exiling over here, all right? So the Cromwell Wars, and then they took over their estates, like their surnames, the family names, okay? So a lot of the faces you see now on these crests, the faces are still on the crest, but it's not the people that was originally there is there now, okay? The House of Commons awarded Cromwell £2,500 a year in confiscated royalist land. So he confiscated Riley's line for his services and renewed his commission for a further 6 months.